Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking you on this deep dive into the wild world of influencer marketing. But with a twist. You've probably seen those posts with thousands of likes and comments. But what if I told you that some of that engagement is coming from something called influencer cartels?
It's true. And these aren't your average fan clubs. We're talking about organized groups that manipulate engagement metrics. And we've got the research to prove it.
We've got excerpts from a fascinating new research paper that goes deep undercover, actual statistics about how much money is being thrown around, and even some screenshots from a real cartel's operation on Telegram, which is kind of like their secret headquarters.
What's fascinating here is that this new research estimates the influencer marketing industry is worth a staggering $31 billion USD. That rivals the entire print newspaper ad industry.
That's a huge chunk of change. And it shows how important it is for brands to make sure their marketing dollars are well spent. You know how companies pay influencers to promote their products to you? Well, these cartels are trying to game that system.
Exactly. They exploit a key tension at the heart of influencer marketing chase. How can brands be sure they're paying for genuine influence and not just artificially inflated numbers?
Right, because the whole point is to reach real people, not just bots or fake accounts. So how do these cartels actually work? What's going on behind the scenes of those picture-perfect posts?
Imagine a secret society of influencers. But instead of exchanging secret handshakes, they're trading likes and comments. They use encrypted messaging apps like Telegram to organize, share their latest posts, and then the rules kick in.
Rules. This is starting to sound serious, like some kind of digital underground. What kind of rules are we talking about?
It's all about upholding the agreement.
Hmm.
So let's say an influencer posts a picture promoting some new sneakers. They then share that post in the Telegram group. And in exchange, other cartel members are obligated to comment or even share that post. They have these algorithms in place that track everyone's engagement. If you don't hold up your end of the bargain, you're out of the group.
It's like a you scratch my back, I'll scratch your system, but with much higher stakes. These cartels are really protective of their methods. So it's pretty rare for researchers to get this kind of inside look. They didn't just scratch the surface either. They dug deep into the actual content of the posts to see if this manufactured engagement was even remotely convincing. So they weren't just looking at the sheer number of likes and comments. What were they looking for exactly?
Exactly. They were using sophisticated language processing techniques to analyze the text of those comments, even the images in the posts. Think of it like this. Imagine you see an influencer posting about a new brand of organic tea. The researchers wanted to know if the people liking and commenting on that post were actually interested in things like health, wellness, or organic products.
So they were trying to see if there was a match between the influencer's content and the interests of the people engaging with it. That makes sense. But did these cartels pass the test? Was the engagement they were creating convincing enough to fool anyone?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. What they found is that the effectiveness of these cartels really depends on the type of cartel. They discovered two main categories: general interest cartels and topic-specific cartels.
Okay, so there are different types of cartels, depending on their area of focus. What's the difference between how those two types operate?
The general interest cartels are like a free-for-all. You've got influencers promoting everything from fashion to tech to travel, all trying to boost their numbers without any real connection to the products or the people they're supposedly influencing. It's all about gaming the system.
It sounds like with those general cartels, the engagement is probably about as random, as if those brands had just paid for a bunch of bots.
You hit the nail on the head. The researchers found that the engagement generated by those general interest cartels was basically meaningless, useless for the brands, and potentially even harmful to consumers because it just creates more noise and makes it harder to find things you actually care about.
That's a really important point. It's not just about wasted marketing dollars. It's about how this kind of manipulation can actually negatively impact the user experience.
Absolutely. Now, on the other hand, the topic-specific cartels showed some surprising results.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting. Tell me more about these topic-specific cartels. What did the research uncover?
Remember how we talked about those researchers analyzing the text and images to see if the engagement was actually coming from people interested in that topic? Well, with the topic-specific cartels, they actually found
Well,
a decent level of match between the influencer's content and the interests of those engaging.
So it's not just a random jumble of likes from accounts that have nothing to do with the topic.
Exactly. For example, a cartel focused on sustainable living might have influencers promoting eco-friendly products. and people liking and commenting might actually be interested in sustainability. It's not a perfect system, but it suggests that in some cases, these cartels might be creating a sort of curated community around a specific niche.
That's fascinating. So it's not all black and white. There are shades of gray in the world of influencer cartels. Some might actually be connecting people with shared interests and products they might genuinely find valuable.
Right. But here's the thing. How are you supposed to know which posts are part of a harmless niche community and which ones are just artificially inflated? It's nearly impossible to tell just by looking.
That's a good point. This whole deep dive has made me rethink who I trust online. It's like, just because a post has tons of likes doesn't mean those likes are from real people who actually care about the product. It makes you wonder, are those followers really fans? Or just part of some elaborate scheme?
That's the big takeaway here. Don't be fooled by big numbers. Just because a post has a ton of engagement doesn't necessarily mean it's genuinely popular or influential. You have to look beyond the surface. And remember that engagement, even from real people, can be manipulated.
It's kind of unsettling to think about, to be honest. What can brands do to protect themselves? How can they avoid wasting money on fake influence?
This research is a wake-up call for brands. They need to be smarter about how they're measuring the success of their influencer marketing campaigns. Instead of just looking at engagement metrics, they need to focus on things like brand affinity, meaningful interactions, and ultimately their impact on your purchasing decisions.
It's about quality over quantity.
Exactly. And this phenomenon isn't limited to just Instagram. Think about academic research, for instance. Authors are often judged by how many citations their work receives. What happens if researchers start forming citation cartels to artificially inflate those numbers? It really makes you think about the systems we rely on.
That's a really interesting parallel. It seems like wherever there are metrics, there's the potential for those metrics to be gamed.
Absolutely. But the good news is that we can create systems that are more resistant to manipulation. The authors of this research paper suggest a really intriguing solution. What if platforms, instead of just showing raw engagement numbers, also provided a quality score?
You mean like a score that tells you how many of those likes are coming from people who are genuinely interested in that topic?
Precisely.
Yeah.
So instead of just seeing 10,000 likes, you'd see something like 80% topic relevance. That way you'd be able to instantly tell if the engagement is coming from a genuinely interested audience, or if it's just artificial noise.
That would be a game changer. It would reward genuine influence and make it much harder for those cartels to operate in the shadows.
Exactly. It's all about transparency and making sure that the information we see online is trustworthy.
That's a great note to end on. It's been fascinating to dive into this world with you and uncover the hidden machinery behind those picture-perfect posts. Listener, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive as much as we have. Remember, knowledge is power. And now you're armed with the insights to navigate the digital world a little more wisely. Until next time, keep asking those questions.